A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us here for the webinar on role of nutrition in building immunity, hosted by Unilever, supported by Nutrition Society of Malaysia. My name is Sean, and I'll be your host for today. And today's topic will be covering the link between nutrition and immunity and how to build your immunity. Now, before we proceed any further, if you like to ask any questions, please write them in the section provided just below this video. And selected questions will be answered later during our Q&A session. So if you're viewing this video in full screen mode, you can just exit full screen and you'll be able to see that comment section or that Q&A or question box where you are able to submit your questions. And next, to give you an overview of today's webinar, here is what you can expect. Today, we will have special presentations by speakers who are experts in their field. And they are Dr. Shilpa Joshi. She's a registered dietitian from the Mumbai Diet and Health Center. She's also the National Vice President of the Indian Dietetic Association and Secretary of All India Association for Advancing Research in Obesity, followed by Dr. T.E. Siong, the President of Nutrition Society of Malaysia. And after that, we'll be having the Q&A session with the speakers. So again, do post your questions and we will try our very best to answer all of them. And last but not least, we will also be giving out a limited, it's limited in numbers, 15% discount vouchers for you to enjoy discounts on Horlicks. That's right. So be sure to stay till the very end. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, today's session will be chaired by Associate Professor Dr. Mahendran Apukuti, the Vice President of Nutrition Society of Malaysia. Over to you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, all audience. Good evening. How are you all? Hope you all enjoying your weekend. We are here to listen to a very interesting webinar for this weekend. And it's also a good practice for us to apply in our daily life. Ladies and gentlemen, here we have a wonderful topic, especially on the role of nutrition in building immunity. That is hosted by, as mentioned by the MC just now, Sean, Unilever, and supported by the Nutrition Society of Malaysia. Very important, very important. We must understand what is nutrition all about, and then how it's going to improve our immunity, improve and maintain immunity. That's a very important keyword. I believe you will understand that what is food, what is all nutrition all about. Later, you will get a very good explanation from our two experts, as what Sean have mentioned just now. One from India and one from Malaysia. Both are very renowned person in this area of nutrition and diet. So let us welcome. We have to understand what is nutrition all about, so that we will understand what is the immunity all about later. This will be given by our two experts. Audience, as Sean mentioned just now, all your questions must be posted online. So please put it in your question as what Sean mentioned. The link is given to all of you. So you please put inside there. And take note, the question and answer will be only at the end of the both speakers. So without further ado, let me introduce the two, first speaker of the day, Dr. Shilpa Joshi. Very wonderful to have a privilege to have her. She's the director of the Mumbai Diet and Health Center. She's a practicing dietitian and she's a diabetic educator. And she is also holding a big position here in the Indian Dietetic Association as a vice president. Man, mind you, she's a very busy lady as well. And she's also honorary secretary for All India Association for Advancing Research Obesity. That's another major area that we have to really look at on top of it. And I also came to know she have presented in various national and international meeting, American Diabetic Association, International Diabetic Federation. She's also runner-up recipient of the International Award on the Academic of Nutrition and Dietetic Foundation on Malnutrition. Dear audience, well, we know our expert now. Let us welcome Dr. Shilpa for her sharing. Dr. Shilpa, the screen is yours. Thank you. You okay, Dr. Shilpa?
Yeah.
Okay,
sorry about that.
No problem.
Good afternoon, everybody. And I hope it's still afternoon in Malaysia.
Yes,
or
it is.
in evening. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. I get greetings from India, from all of you. And I'm going to be speaking about, and thank you, Dr. Mahindran, for very, very kind words of introduction. Thank you very much. And it's a privilege to be in amidst of all the dignitaries on the dais. I'm going to be speaking on role of nutrition in immunity. And, immunity had never been spoken as much as it has been spoken in last 1 year due to the presence of COVID. We were always fighting infections. It was not that we weren't, but it was not in the limelight. Now it has come into the limelight. And I think we should begin with one of the oldest sayings by the father of modern medicine himself, Hippocrates, who said, our food should be our medicine and our medicine should be our food. So, father of medicine, couple of 1,000 years ago, actually gave the importance of nutrition or eating right food. See, nutrition is a science, but choosing food is a day-to-day affair. And you make those choices, I think, couple of times a day. Every time food comes in front of you, it's a choice that you make whether to eat or not to eat. And that is a choice you're making between a medicine and not so much of medicine. I wouldn't say a poison, but not having as much as medicinal value. So overview of my presentation would be, what is immunity? Very important to understand because we speak about immunity. Do we really know what it is? Factors that impact immunity. How can I boost my immune system? Food safety during COVID. Lot of people, I'm sure it is same in Malaysia as in India. People are worried to order food, to buy groceries from outside, thinking that they are going to contract the infection. And of course, I will end with conclusion, take-home message, and I will be also happy to answer any of your questions. So let us come to the million-dollar question itself. What is immunity? Pardon me. Immunity is the ability of organism to resist a particular infection or resist toxin by action of specific antibodies or white blood cells. In very, very simple language, immunity is our ability to fight an infection. So infection can be fought by many ways. It can be fought by basically by white blood cells. So white blood cells is like your military. But within military, there are various different things happening. So somebody may be in the Navy fighting at the water. Somebody may be fighting through the skies like Air Force. Similarly, our white blood cells also fight in different ways. Antibodies is one another expression. Just other white blood cells are different. Complement system is different. So there are various facets of immunity. Now, I love this slide. This is a paper which was published long back. It's a scientific paper, but it shows so beautifully that there are various parts of immunity. So like I said, like our military, which has many, many parts, even our immunity has many, many parts. See, if you see here, it's like an umbrella, which is saving you from the rain of microorganisms. Okay, so there is skin, there is mucosal immunity, which comes from the barriers. There are lysosomes, there are phagocytes. Phagocytes are engulfing cells which engulf other bacteria or viruses. Then there are immunoglobulins or antibodies. There is cell-mediated immunity. Then there is complement system and there is interferon. These are different parts of immunity. which are protecting you, my dear friends, from microorganisms. One of the microorganisms which is very popular now is the COVID virus. But like COVID, there are many microorganisms, from parasites like ringworm and other parasites, tapeworm, even from malignant cells. Remember, this is an immunity which is also helping you against cancer. So this is developing into host resistance. And therefore, we say people who don't fall ill often, we say they have very strong resistance. And this is what is giving you the resistance. Now, what are the factors impacting immunity? So remember, this is a whole lot of factors which impact immunity. So there are some factors which you can't change. For example, age. You can't change how old you are. You can't change your gender. If you're a man, you're a man. You're a woman, you're a woman. You can't change your parents. So genetics, they can't be changed. So these, and hormones, these are non-modifiable factors. They are not in your hand. But what is in your hand? More than half. Nutrition and diet, completely in your hand, completely your choice. With nutrition and diet will determine whether you have obesity or you don't have obesity. So completely in your hand. Alcohol consumption, my dear friends, 150% in your hand. Exercise, both acute and chronic. So whether you exercise daily or you exercise sometimes. Okay. Then stresses, that is environmental stress, psychological stress, and physiological stress. So stress on your body, like, maybe by metabolic conditions like diabetes, heart disease, blood pressure, so on and so forth. Psychological stress, your boss is sitting on your head for you to complete a presentation. That's the psychological stress. Family stress, so on and so forth. Vaccines. We know vaccines are all across the world. Vaccines actually help you to strengthen your immune system. And of course, exposure to pathogen. And here is where the whole thing comes of wearing masks, washing your hands, sanitizing your hands, maintaining a social distance, so on and so forth. So what are the factors that impact immunity? Now, because I am a dietitian, I will talk about diet and nutrition because that's where I have maximum understanding. So modern lifestyle, reduced exposure to microorganisms, increased exposure to pollution, heightened levels of stress, westernized diets, and a host of other variables are likely to contribute to immune dysfunction. Now, what is Western diet? I don't know so much about Malaysia, but in India, people think eating Indian food is very healthy, and pizza and burger is only the Western food, which is really not so. What is Western diet? Western diet is a diet which is characterized by high intake of saturated fats and omega-6 fats, reduced intake of omega-3 fat, overuse of salt and sugar both. Now, because I was presenting in Malaysia, I went on and I looked at what Malaysians eat. And I think Malaysians eat all these things. Saturated fat in terms of red meat, use of lard, even use of refined butter, that is ghee. There is a lot of it. Omega-6 fat, increased use of refined oils. You all eat a lot of fish, but maybe there are some people who process fish too much, deep fry it, so that you are losing the omega-3 fat. And of course, salt and sugar is overused across the world nowadays. So are these not the diets that we eat today? Do we really need to call it Western diets? They're actually diets all over the globe. So this is the food that is eaten in Malaysia, I'm sure. The rice dishes, the sweets, I do not know many of them, but I'm sure that, and of course, this is the universal thing, fries and donuts and so on and so forth. And these are pretzels and chips, and these are all universal foods. No longer there is a distinction between foods as much as it was. Now, there is a huge impact of body composition or your weight on immunity. I said that. Underweight, that is deficient in total calories and protein, severely reduces immune system. So this is very, very popular even from olden ages. If you see somebody very lean and thin, you're going to tell them, oh, you don't have any strength to fight infection. So underweight, you cannot fight infection. The white blood cells and other factors of immunity are themselves proteins. And if you do not eat enough protein in your diet, you are going to not have enough white blood cells. But my dear friends, overweight and obesity itself reduces immunity. Why? Because fat cells themselves are inflammatory substances. So fat releases inflammatory substances, and these actually continuous release of inflammatory substances silence your immune system. So every time if there are people attacking your system through inflammation, then your immune cells gets used to it. And when there is an actual attack by microorganisms, they are not able to identify. So also high body weight or obesity also silences immune system and therefore tones it down. Now, these are various components of your diet which impact immune function. Sugar, jaggery, palm sugar. They are all processed sugar. It doesn't matter what color they look like. I again do not know about Malaysia, but in India, people think jaggery because it is non-refined is very healthy. It is not. It is as bad as white sugar. So processed simple sugars reduce white blood cells, phagocytosis, and possibly increase inflammation or inflammatory cytokine markers in the blood. And I do not know how many of you read about COVID, but COVID actually causes increased cytokine response. And that is what is already happening if you're having a lot of sugar in your diet. Again, salt. Very big fad among users is white salt is not good, pink is good, sea salt is good. Some salt is salt, whether it is yellow, white, pink, green, purple, it doesn't matter. All salts are not good for you because high salt in the diet may increase interleukin-17 mediated inflammation and could worsen the response. Therefore, I'm not saying it's salt-free, okay? That is not something that I'm saying. Do not overuse the salt. Do not have a salt shaker on your table when you're eating food. Whatever is added to your food is more than enough. You don't need more. Do not add salt to your salads. Green leafies have a lot of salt in them, have a lot of sodium in them. That itself is great. Saturated fat. Now here, where is it present? Ghee, that is clarified butter, coconut oil, I think that is something, or palm oil, that's something which is used a lot in Malaysia, and red meat. So try, if you eat these fats in high quantity, how do you recognize saturated fats? Fats which solidify at room temperature. These are saturated fats. And these fats actually work on immune cell and disrupt them. So try to eat foods which are lower in saturated fat. Choose fish instead of choosing red meat. That is a better choice in terms of consuming non-vegetarian food. Now, I know this is a very, very scientific slide, but this is something which is very important. Everybody is talking about gut inflammation nowadays, that our gut, if it gets inflamed, then our immunity goes down. And that is called as dysbiosis. And for common people, for people who are not from nutrition or medicine, I'm not going to go into depth of it. All I'm trying to say is phytonutrients which come from fruit, vegetable, oils, certain oils, fish, they are really good for you. Whereas those coming from salt, those coming from sugar, from artificial sweeteners, saturated fat, actually cause dysbiosis, which can cause inflammation, which can reduce immunity. So it is just a simple thumb rule that try to eat less of salt, less of sugar, less of artificial sweeteners, less of saturated fat, less of red meat, and try to choose simple foods like fish, like fruit, vegetables, so on and so forth to maintain a healthy gut health. Because, you know, it is said that death lives in the gut. Those who have a good gut have good health. So these are different factors which are responsible for immunity. These are different nutrients which are responsible for immunity. And I'm going to go into each one of them. So how can I boost my immune system? Everybody is only talking about this nowadays. So how can I boost my immune system through my diet? So it has been shown that you cannot boost your immune system by diet. No specific food or supplement will prevent you from catching COVID. Good hygiene practice remains the best method of avoiding infection. You know, in India, people were taking decoctions, or in India, it is called as kada. Means you take clove, you boil it and you drink clove water. Then you take pepper, you boil it and you drink pepper water, thinking all these spices are going to not let you get COVID. That's not true. First thing to not get COVID is hygiene. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and eat simple homemade food. If you eat today good food, tomorrow you cannot get immunity. Immunity is a thing that you develop over years. So you cannot eat good food one day and think that you have got immunity and from tomorrow start eating bakery and sweets and crisp and chips, and it doesn't work like that. To date, the European Food Safety Authority has not authorized any claim for a food or a food component in UK to be labeled against as a protection against infection. There are many nutrients involved in normal functioning of immune system. So we encourage you to eat healthy, eat balanced, and support the immune system. One cannot recommend one food over other. You can't say rice is better than wheat, wheat is better than rice. It is not like that. All foods are good as long as you eat them in a balanced way. I always say, Hippocrates said food is a medicine. Remember, all medicines have dose, right? Do you take as many tablets as you want? When you fall ill, no. You go to a doctor and doctor will tell you 1 tablet 3 times a day, 2 tablets 3 times a day. Similarly, if food is a medicine, food should have a dose. You cannot eat a heap full of rice and feel that you can get okay. If the dose is that much rice, then that is what you need to eat. If you take too much medicines, you are shifted to ICU and you're subjected to something called as a gastric lavage. They push out medicines from your stomach. Similarly, I hope this could have been done with food, it cannot be done because you enjoy this medicine, right? You love your medicine. You love your rice. So try not to love it. So again, carbohydrates are important fuel of the immune system. So they fuel your immune system. And that is why, my dear friends, don't go to ketogenic diet. Don't stop eating carbohydrates. But at the same time, don't overeat them. Just eat them in the right amount. Proteins are very important for immunity. I am sure in Malaysia, you eat enough proteins. In India, people don't eat proteins because Indian diets are basically carb rich. So in India, we encourage people to eat proteins and fats in moderate amount. But most of your fats, rather coming from coconut and oil and all of that, should come from nuts like almonds, like walnuts, like peanuts, so on and so forth. They are better for you. These are different sources of vitamins. And my dear friends, the saying is, eat your rainbow. Let a rainbow be reflected on your plate. Eat all colored vegetables and fruits. Don't go and buy colored food. Don't buy a sweet which is green and red, and that is not eat your rainbow. You eat a green color guava, a red color apple, a green colored pear, some orange colored mango. That is eat your rainbow. So try to eat different colored fruits and vegetables to get vitamin A, B, C, D, and E from your diet. Now, vitamin D basically comes from sunlight and non-vegetarian food. If you are holed up in your house because of COVID, not going out, you're not exposed to sun, please take supplements as advised by the doctor. Again, micro minerals like selenium, zinc, and iron are also important in immunity. Iron, especially in women, because of the menstrual cycle, they lose a lot of iron every month. So if you are a woman of reproductive age and you have low hemoglobin, it is imperative that you replenish it to have better immunity. Zinc and selenium are also very, very important in immunity because they actually help the immune cells to replicate or to increase in number. Now, my last slide. Food safety during COVID. I think this is something everybody is worried about. So first and foremost, it is very unlikely that you can catch COVID from food. So, a lot of people in India at least were saying, what if the food handler has an infection? It is still not passed through food. So as long as you can clean the food, wash your vegetables, wash your fruits, wash your grains, cook them wherever necessary, peel them, it's very unlikely that COVID is passed from food. COVID-19 is a respiratory illness. It is not known to be transmitted by exposure to food or food packaging. Please continue to follow general safety advice. Washing your hands thoroughly after touching food, cleaning surfaces, separating raw meat and fish from other foods while preparing food. So in conclusion, there is a need of balanced nutrition approach to boost immunity. There is a mounting evidence to suggest that intake of some micronutrients above the recommended daily allowance may help to optimize or maximize immune function and thus improve resistance to infection. Gaps exist between dietary intakes and level for optimal immune function, providing a rationale for supplementation with the diet with micronutrients to help support immune system and to reduce risk of infection. Thank you so much for a patient hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Shilpa. You gave us a wide range of healthy diet and immunity within 15 minutes. That is not, that's a marathon running. Yeah, we are on Olympic now, but this is an interesting topic. You have given us a very good exposure. You talk about the immunity. You make it simple to understand what is immunity all about. It's a very complexity to understand immunity, but you make it very simple and everything. And you also mentioned about the common diet, which is we are practicing. And one of the main thing is food is medicine. Medicine is food. I think we should be talking about it more now. I think everybody have recognized that I think we should be practicing nutritionists and dietitian in any part of the world. They must be proud to talk about diet, food. That's a very key point that you have mentioned. We will discuss further in the question and answer, Dr. Shilpa. Thank you very much. Very interesting topic and very interesting way you put it nicely, all the important part. Next, we have to move into Malaysia. We have to take a flight now to Malaysia now to invite Dr. T. Siong. Dr. T. Siong, he's the president. It's my pleasure to introduce him, who is my mentor, who's still from my undergrad, from my undergrad as a BSc Nutrition. Until now, he's guiding me. He's a co-chair of the Southeast Asia on the Asia Probiotic Scientific and Regulatory Expert Network. He also shares the Southeast Asia Public Health Nutrition, CPHN network. Very interesting network within the region. We talk about regional problems on food and nutrition issues among the regional people. He also lead implementation of several community nutrition programs, chairing National Steering Committee for Nutrition Month Malaysia, which is going on in Malaysia at the moment, and the NSM Probiotic education program. We talk about probiotics there. He presents several technical working group in Ministry of Health and National Coordinating Food and Nutrition, NCCFN, Technical Working Group of Nutritional Guideline, and also the Malaysian Food Regulation for Codex Alimentarius, and he's a scientific director for International Life Sciences Institute, ILSI, Southeast Asia region, and coordinator for Malaysia country committee. And he is the role model for all nutritionists in Malaysia, including me. It's my pleasure to invite Dr. T. Siong, the President of Nutrition Society of Malaysia, to share on the topic on the building immunity from healthy nutrition. Dr. T, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Audio is okay? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Mahendran, for the kind introduction. Of course, you know he's exaggerating. Never mind. No. Let's go on to today's talk. And I must thank the organizers for having me this afternoon. And I must say, Dr. Shilpa has given a very excellent talk. And we now have aspects from India. Now, if I may share with you some thoughts from nutrition in Malaysia, and you will see there's no differences. We concur in all these areas that we talk about, advice for people, especially now with the current pandemic. Yeah, let me share my slides. Do you see my slides?
Not yet, Dr. T.
Share screen. This one. Can you see my slides now?
Yeah, but
slideshow, yeah? Okay. Yeah. Let me go slideshow. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Good. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, thank you for joining this webinar and having listened to Dr. Shilpa, an excellent talk. Yeah? I'll try to build on and giving some local scenario on these aspects of healthy nutrition, how it becomes very important aspect to building immunity. Okay, so I will start off with short introduction, 2-3 slides on how, actually Dr. Shilpa already emphasized a lot on that, yeah, how immune system is very important to fight coronavirus infection and this COVID-19, yeah, and then I go on to talk about how good nutrition is the key to building immunity. I'll focus on 3 main areas, 3 dietary factors. 1 is promoting gut health, 2 is selecting a variety of nutrients, especially certain nutrients. Yeah? And thirdly, third group of dietary factors on phytonutrients, many of which can function as antioxidants. The bulk of my talk will be on these 3 key dietary factors. Then where do we get these nutrients from? The main approach or the first approach will be from the diet. I will speak on the principles of balance, moderation, and variety, and how we can use key visuals to help us in achieving balance, moderation, and variety. And the last 2 slides, I'll share with you some propaganda from the Nutrition Society of Malaysia, more information from NSM, and especially Nutrition One Malaysia that Dr. Mahendran mentioned is going on right now in this country on the virtual platform. Yeah? So on this first introductory slides, and we do not need to emphasize further about the importance of the pandemic, how this pandemic has caused untold sufferings, not just Malaysia, but across the world in many countries, and now seems to be a bit uncontrolled in many Asian countries. Yeah, economic, human lives are lost. So we must do all the best that we can to prevent the virus from entering our body. This medical advice, public health measures that people speak about, mask, keeping on the mask, go out only when needed, wash your hands frequently, and of course, get vaccinated. Yeah, so we must do all this. However, if unfortunately this virus managed to enter our body, then immune system becomes very important. How a person handles the coronavirus depends on his or her immune system. Depends on whether that person is able to fight this highly contagious virus and seem to be spreading like, you know, wildfire here. So, but people who have a strong immune status will develop mild symptoms, will recover shortly or much shorter. On the other hand, people with weak immune system will have severe symptoms, hospitalized more often, and so on. Yeah, and this is especially so for elderly people, people with weaker immune system, and those with underlying non-communicable diseases risk factors. And what are these NCD risk factors? For example, obese people, hypertensive people, diabetes people, people with heart disease. These are the ones we say with NCD risk factors. These people with a poorer immune system, they may need longer hospitalization, they may need oxygen, ICU, oxygen, and so on, yeah? And greater death rates amongst these people. Therefore, we really have to manage NCD risk factors among these people. And those who don't have NCD risk factors should prevent from having these. And of course, healthy nutrition is the key to doing that. And of course, we talk about improving immune system so that we have less hospitalization and less sufferings from COVID-19 disease. Yeah? So I go on now to talk about the 3 groups of key dietary factors that will be very important, yeah, and towards building a strong immune system, healthy immune system. 1 is promoting good gut health. Dr. Shilpa also mentioned that just now. And I will focus on 2 main dietary components, dietary fiber and also probiotics. The second group, we of course need a lot of variety of nutrients for healthy immune system. No one nutrient is going to do that. However, there are certain key nutrients that we will need to pay particular attention. Protein, for example, selected vitamins and minerals, and also essential fatty acids. Then the third group is phytonutrients, many of which can function as antioxidants. So let's go on one by one very quickly on, first of all, promoting good gut health. What is gut health? We all know that the gut or the GI tract is important for digestion of food, absorption of nutrients from the food that we eat, yeah? So that nutrients can be used by the body. So beyond that, not many people pay attention to that. However, the gut health is very important for the immune function. And as much as 70-80% of the immune system actually lies within the gut. Yeah. And so now with the pandemic still raging across the countries, across the world, good gut health becomes extremely important. And what is it that is doing this good gut, protecting the gut health system? And what is it that is promoting immune system? Is the gut microbiota. So let's very quickly look at the gut microbiota. Actually, the gut microbiota is hundreds of trillions of microorganisms, and including this, amongst these are about 1,000 different species of bacteria. All this is living in our body, especially in the large intestine. Yeah? So there are good bacteria. We always know that bacteria are bad. They are the ones that bring about ill health, cause infections, cold and flu and all that. Yeah? But there are also good bacteria in the gut. So what is important is that they live in harmony, and we want more of good bacteria versus a bad bacteria. A good, healthy balance of the gut microbiota is the key towards good gut health and therefore a strong immune system. Next, we will ask them, how do I promote good gut health? And I will very quickly say dietary fiber is one very important dietary factor. Enough dietary fiber will promote bowel movement, regularity of bowel movement, reduces constipation, yeah? And so dietary fiber, some of which can lower blood cholesterol, can help improve, yeah, manage blood sugar level, and also people with high fiber intake or enough dietary fiber intake will feel full longer, and they do not eat or they do not overeat. So that is the goodness of dietary fiber. So next we will ask, where do I get my dietary fiber from? Yeah? Dietary fiber actually are the undigested components of the plant foods, vegetables and fruits that we eat. So all those that are not digested, these are the undigested dietary fiber. So number one, very good source of dietary fiber is vegetables and fruits. And if you are Malaysian, you will have known that the Ministry of Health says that almost everybody in Malaysia do not consume the recommended serving of fruits and vegetables. That's horrifying figure to understand. So really the message is eat enough fruits and vegetables. At least 3 servings of vegetable, 2 servings of fruits every day. Yeah? Next, with a good source of dietary fiber is whole grains. Whole grains versus refined grains. Whole grains are intact grain. Grain with complete outer bran and also the germ, and together with the inside endosperm. A refined grain where the bran is removed, the germ is removed. When that is done, then a lot of the nutrients have been removed during the refining process. So whole grain has a lot more dietary fiber, vitamins and minerals, and also phytonutrients. So whole grains are excellent sources of dietary fiber. Yeah? Improves gut health, can reduce risk to many chronic diseases, and NCDs that we spoke about just now also help us in weight management. So remember vegetables and fruits, whole grain, and next is legumes, beans, and nuts and seeds. These are excellent sources of dietary fiber, also very good sources of protein, which we will come to briefly shortly. Yeah? So vegetables and fruits and whole grains and also legumes, excellent sources of dietary fiber. Some dietary fiber can function as prebiotics. Prebiotics are specific dietary fibers, can serve as food for the good bacteria that we mentioned just now. So look out for some food labels that mention prebiotics. Naturally, you can get this from garlic, onion, asparagus, and specific certain kinds of vegetable. Yeah. So let's go on quickly to talk about the other dietary component which can promote good gut health, and that is consuming the good bacteria directly. And these are called the probiotics. So where can we find the good bacteria? There are many naturally or traditional fermented foods in this country. Yeah. And if we are not sure where to find them, we can also go for the commercially available cultured milk drink with added probiotics. And these are easily available. Yeah? So this is where you can find the probiotics, good bacteria, and that way we can improve the number of good bacteria and therefore can fight against the bad bacteria in our body. So probiotics actually can help us improve the immune system through the good gut health. They can also act as a barrier to protect our system from pathogens, bad bacteria entering, and also can serve as a protective role against certain allergies. Yeah? So then we have touched on the dietary fiber, we touched on probiotics as improving good gut health. Yeah? So let's go on to the second dietary fiber. Of course, we need a variety of nutrients, but I would like to emphasize on a few selected nutrients that we might need to pay attention to: protein, vitamins and minerals, and some essential fatty acids. They all work together to support our immune system, and deficiencies of these can make our immune system very weak. So I will go on very quickly in interest of time. Each one of these very quickly. Protein, Dr. Shilpa also mentioned that. The key, we know protein is important for growth, maintenance of tissues, repair of tissues. However, they're also a very important part of the immune system. The immune body, the white blood cells that Dr. Shilpa mentioned, these are all component. Protein are very important components of these. Yeah? So if we are able to form immune antibodies against these invading cells, and there protein is needed, we develop so-called immunity against these invading pathogens. Yeah? So protein important for immune system. Where do we find the protein? We know a lot of animal sources, the meat and so on, but do not forget the plant sources of protein and the legumes that we mentioned just now. Yeah? So actually it's very good to have a variety of protein from animal sources and also plant sources. Yeah? So in addition to that, milk and milk products are very good sources of protein. Yeah? And also there are various beverages which are fortified, malt beverages which are fortified with added vitamins and minerals. And you can obtain a lot of good quality protein from these kinds of milk and milk products. Yeah? Let me move on to vitamins and minerals quickly. And we recognize several vitamins are particularly important: vitamin A, C, D, and also micronutrients like zinc, copper, and iron. All these go towards building a strong immune system. Yeah. Lastly, where to find these vitamins and minerals? Of course, go back to the vegetables and fruits. Yeah. And then finally, the essential fatty acids. We need fat. We may recognize that too much fat will result in overweight and obesity. However, we do need some fat. They provide us with energy, fat-soluble vitamins. They also provide us with essential fatty acids that we cannot obtain from a diet, and we must get it from food. Yeah? And these essential fatty acids help in building immune systems and regulating immune systems like EPA and DHA. So these are the PUFAs that we must get from a diet. Yeah? Sources of essential fatty acids, deep sea fishes, yeah? But also from plant sources, nuts and seeds. Yeah? So these are excellent sources of essential fatty acids too. Yeah. So let's go on to the last third group of dietary factors. These are the phytonutrients. As the word suggests, phyto means plants. These are specific nutrients from the plants. These are not vitamins and minerals. Very specific, biologically effective components in the plant, and many of them act as antioxidants. What is their importance? They can fight free radicals. What are free radicals? Free radicals are toxic substances that can build up from the body, for example, from cigarette smokes, from car pollution, factory pollution, and so on. And if they accumulate in the body, they can kill off our body cells. So if we have enough antioxidants, they can neutralize these free radicals and therefore prevent these free radicals from causing harm, and therefore strengthen the immune system. So remember, phytonutrients can serve as antioxidants. Where do we find antioxidants? colorful fruits and vegetables, the rainbow of fruits and vegetables that Dr. Shilpa mentioned just now. So eat a variety of colors, yeah? Then you're most likely able to get your phytonutrients as well as vitamins and minerals. So remember, fruits and vegetables, yeah? And also where to get phytonutrients? From whole grains. Also excellent sources from the germ, from the brain, very high sources of phytonutrients. From the nuts and seeds, very high sources. So remember, we are repeating here, talking about fruits and vegetables, talk about whole grains, talk about legumes, good sources of dietary fiber, also good sources of phytonutrients. So these are the key food groups I hope you do not forget from now on. Yeah. So spices are also very important of antioxidant. However, we cannot just rely on the spices, yeah, to help us build an immune system. So these are important sources of phytonutrients. So lastly, I go on to talk about where do we get these nutrients that we need? Vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients we should take from food. What are the key messages here? We should practice balance, moderation, and variety. Balance means eating fruit from all the major food groups. You must have fruit and vegetable. You must have sources of protein. You must have sources of carbohydrates. And then you must eat in moderation. We must not eat excessive amounts, yeah, and variety. Eat different kinds of veggie, different kinds of fruits, different kinds of fish, and so on. That's the meaning of variety. So remember, eat a variety of foods from the 5 food groups. Then most likely we're able to obtain enough nutrients for our body functions, all kinds of body functions, including building a healthy immune system. Yeah. So in Malaysia, with a food guide pyramid, use a food pyramid to help us take more foods from the bottom of the pyramid, less from the second level carbohydrate foods, less from the protein foods here, dairy products as well as meat, fish and eggs, and least from the tip. This is the fats and oils, sugar and fat, which Dr. Shilpa emphasized a lot just now. Yeah, and also use the healthy plate, suku separuh, to guide us. Suku of meat products, legumes, suku of carbohydrates, rice, wheat, and so on, separuh of the fruit and vegetable. Again, emphasis on fruits and vegetables. Remember the food pyramid, remember the suku separuh, and that's the best guide for us, yeah, to get out enough nutrients for body function and also to have a healthy immune system. Yeah? So take-home message is eating healthy and be active, eat balanced meals in appropriate amounts, consume more fruits and vegetables, to promote your gut health, adopt healthy cooking practices. Now we should take the opportunity to cook more frequently at home and use cooking healthy practices, use healthier ingredients, and of course, remain physically active even under lockdown. There's no excuse to say, I cannot go out and be physically active. You must do physical activity at home. There are so many ways we can be active. There's no excuse for that. Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Mahendran, just let me show you 2 more slides on Nutrition Society of Malaysia educational material. One is our NSM website. Go in, there are many educational materials, articles, yeah, and also there's one dedicated website on probiotics education program. Yeah, all materials are free of charge to download and use. Yeah, and now this nutrition fair and Nutrition Month Malaysia is going on. There's a virtual fair. Go inside. You can download a lot of educational materials. You can play activities, play games there, and a lot of goodies to win from Nutrition Malaysia Virtual Nutrition Fair. Thank you very much, Dr. Mahendran, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Dr. T. You brought us the whole broad view of the nutrition, how nutrition can build up the immunity. I think your both speaker, audience, they brought up the concept of nutrition and diet, how can build up immunity. Dr. Shilpa started with the medicine is food, food is medicine, that kind of philosophy, and Dr. T complement it very nicely and put it very easily to understand. the only keywords that I really emphasize, he emphasized very much is health, eat balance. Cooking, I think a part of Dr. Shilpa mentioned, I think Dr. T was mentioning healthy cooking is very important. And at this point of time, with the pandemic going on and how to do it and everything, all the ingredients actually is available. I think Dr. T and Dr. Shilpa have put it nicely on that component of the healthy ingredients. And last not least, Dr. T have emphasized physical activity. You cannot go. That is hand in hand. I worked in Faculty of Sports Science, and I always teach nutrition, and I have to do the exercise as well. It's not lockdown, is not everything lockdown. You don't lock down your food, right? You don't lock down your gut system. You still eat. So same thing, you need the energy expenditure. I think Dr. T put it very nicely to all of us. Even if you are in the house, you still can do some exercise. Please take this opportunity, understand it, and practice it. This is what I was telling in the beginning. What we learned in this 15-minute session of two experts from two countries, India and Malaysia, they're trying to put is practice it. If you learn, you don't practice, you're going to be having a hard time. This is very important part of it. And all audience, you have very nice, kindly have given us a lot of questions here, coming in, and I think it's more to come. Let me start with from Dr. Shilpa. There was one question, very specific, Dr. Shilpa. May I know what is systemic inflammation? Any examples or symptoms that you can explain? I think because this is you mentioned about immunity, they wanted to know more about systemic inflammation.
So what happens is when there is an attack by microorganisms or there is certain problem within the body, there are certain kinds of messengers or cytokines. Cell messengers in simple words are called as cytokines. They are secreted, and these cytokines, when they are secreted, we call it as a stage of inflammation. So for example, if it was covered all across in the world in the media that COVID has caused a cytokine storm, and actually people who died of COVID died actually of the cytokine storm when the inflammatory response was too much in the body, and that is what inflammation can do. They are secreted to fight the microorganism, but in the bargain they start killing the body itself. And that is why they measure a level called as CRP, C-reactive protein in the blood when infection happen, and these are all inflammatory markers of our body. There are many. One of them is CRP. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I think you put it very nicely about explaining about systemic inflammation. Audience also wanted to know, Dr. Shilpa, on how effective is cordyceps in protecting lungs?
What is effective? I'm sorry.
How effective is cordyceps?
What is cordyceps? I'm sorry, I don't know.
I think it's a product based Chinese food.
Chinese house. I'm sorry, I'm not aware of it. I'm very sorry.
Dr. T, would you like to take that?
Then I think I will take on and say that there's no one single either Western medicine or traditional medicine that is going to be very good for COVID-19. A lot of this thing has come to the world by storm, and then we are still trying to grapple with this whole virus. And cordyceps is a kind of herb and plant-based. Yeah. It's not like that's going to help you to treat or to prevent COVID-19. Yeah,
I think, like I said, there is no single nutrient which can do the magic. You need to have balanced nutrition, and not for one day.
Yep.
For all your life to get the effect.
Exactly.
You cannot eat good food for one day and expect your systems to start working.
I agree with you, Dr. Shilpa. You mentioned you boil a clove or you boil a coriander, you get it, and you think the immune system boosts up. It doesn't work. I think science, it's a different way. I think very well, Dr. Shilpa and Dr. T have put it. It's plant-based, it's good, but you need it, take it in a moderate level, and don't depend on one single nutrient to help the whole thing. Like what you say, the rice. Yeah, rice is good. That doesn't mean you only eat rice. Okay, interesting. They also, Dr. T, they are trying to ask how we have a good portion of food, easily not using weighing scale, how we can manage it.
Yeah, good question. So people grapple with when we say moderately, what does it mean? Yeah. So if you have a chance to look at the food pyramid later on, and the food pyramid has got serving size on both sides of the pyramid. For example, fruit and vegetables. The pictures in the food pyramid now are given in serving size. For example, papaya. What's the serving of a papaya? It's one slice of papaya. It's not whole big papaya. And that's what it means a serving. What is a serving size of a fish? One small ikan kembung. That's a serving. So examples are given in the food pyramid now. That's moderation. So moderation doesn't mean eating 10 ikan kembung, right? Or eating 10 plates of nasi lemak every week, that is not moderation. So we don't need to weigh our food every time. That's very boring. That's mind-boggling to eat like that. We don't ask people to eat like that. Common sense and serving size is to help us. And when we eat nasi lemak, much as we love the country, don't eat 10 times a week. Okay, so that's not eating in moderation.
Thanks, Dr. T. You put it in a layman understanding what is the portion size, how important is portion size, but don't too go inside and after weighing and everything, or it may not feasible. I think Dr. Shilpa also mentioned about it, how managing it, the food according to your needs, individual needs. I think like what Dr. T mentioned, if you don't get the point, cannot understand, look for a nutritionist, practicing nutritionist or dietitian for further advice. Get them. This is time for you to engage with the really person who qualified, understand about food and nutrition, so that they can advise you and they can move on with that. So this is very important point that Dr. T have mentioned. And don't go and start weighing, oh, I need 1 kilo or half a kilo or 500 grams. And don't stress up yourself. A portion size is given in your food pyramid. Please look for it. And then if you can't, get a practicing dietitian or nutritionist to further advise. Dr. T, along the way, there are some questions about, is it advisable to take long-term on probiotics?
Yes. Relevant question. There is, probiotics have come, has a lot of research backing it and have come a long way in terms of scientific substantiation. There is no harm at all in taking probiotics for a long term. And you need to take probiotics regularly to have that effect. Probiotics must be live cultures, live bacteria that goes into the body. They must remain live within the body so that they can perform their functions and they will not survive for long. So you need to take this regularly, and a lot of evidence show that probiotics there's no health concern in consuming probiotic for a long term, for all ages. Yeah.
Right. Well said. Like just now, it's not one day you get everything, and then we get every single nutrient impact on the body. I think we are running out of time as well. We really need to go faster. Dr. Shilpa, just on the last question on the aspect of how to improve eat for children vegetable and fruits, because they have issues, they are picky eaters. What's your advice?
The first advice is everybody in the house should eat them. Parents can't be eating junk food and expecting their children to eat healthy food. So the biggest thing is expose your children to eating fruits and vegetables right from when you start weaning them. Let it be on their plate. try to make different recipes. Like in India, we suggest that when you make rice or we make chapatis, that is flat breads at home, we try that, tell them to incorporate purees or chopped vegetables within them so that the rice looks pretty with, red color carrot and green color French beans or peas, and it looks pretty with it. You can also make different recipes out of it. But the imperative part is exposing children to different fruits and vegetables since they are kids. They may not like certain, they may like certain, but as long as they know that everybody eats it and it's important to eat, they will eat. The problem is parents don't eat vegetables, but they expect their children to eat them. And that is when it feels like punishment that my parents don't do it, but I am supposed to do it. So that's punishment for children. So parents eating it, you always lead by example. So leading by example is very, very important.
I completely agree, Dr. Shilpa. This is a role model, and I think how parents introduce the vegetable from small, and then they tends to follow it up. And I believe if you many of the audience, definitely if you go to the Nutrition Month Malaysia website, we do have how to improve eating for children, especially for children, picky eaters and everything. So please. You have to read more, and then you have to encourage them. They are the future. Remember, they are the future. The children are the future for the whole nation to come, and they have to go and fight this COVID excellently with the good nutrition they will have. I think, audience, we have only this time. I guess we will have more engagement on this very interesting topic, role of nutrition in building immunity. I must thank both speakers, experts who shared their views on food and nutrition. Dr. Shilpa, thank you so much for sharing a complex immunity in a simple manner for a public understanding. Dr. T, you put it a balanced diet, and so interestingly, you put all together in 15 minutes. That's a key point, and to make our information to pass over to everybody. Thank you very much, Dr. T. Siong and Dr. Shilpa Joshi. Thank you. Back to you, Sean.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahindran, and of course to our expert speakers, Dr. Shilpa as well as Dr. T. And now we'll also like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who have tuned in to our webinar this afternoon. And don't forget, we'll be having our second session next week on Saturday, the 14th of August 2021, which will be conducted in Bahasa Melayu or in the Malay language. Now, the speaker that will be presenting is Professor Dr. Hamid Janjan Mohammed, the Chairman of Technical Working Group, Nutrition Research for the Ministry of Health Malaysia. Also a lecturer for Nutrition and Dietetics program for University Science Malaysia. And we'll also be announcing the winners of the Immunity Recipes Contest for sessions 1 and 2 next week or at the end of next week's session. So do share your home cooked recipes for boosting immunity in kids or adults and stand a chance to win prizes worth up to 2,000 ringgit. For more details, do check out the link on Horlicks Malaysia Facebook page. And now another moment you have been waiting for, the 15% discount voucher. So please grab them as fast as you can as the numbers are limited. And of course, terms and conditions apply. And of course, do visit Horlicks store on Lazada and Shopee right now for you to claim those 15% vouchers. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. And hopefully this has been very beneficial to you. Have a great day ahead, and we'll see you next week. Take care and stay safe.
With ho 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 goodness.
Ho 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 has vitamin B6, just like bananas. Ho 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 has calcium, just like milk. Ho 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 contains iron, just like
New Horlicks packed with ho 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 goodness.